go.
Yeah, you got it recorded.
Yes.
You may just want to say again what that link in the chat is.
Absolutely. I'm going to put it again. Oh, I'm going to put it in again. I just put a link into chat for everyone. There's a few questions. If you're not receiving, welcome. If you're not receiving the newsletter, that means that we don't have the right email in PowerSchool. So you can go ahead and let me know your email that you would like the newsletter sent to. I do it sometime over the week, and it depends upon how much energy I have left on a Friday. Sometimes I don't get to it till Saturday or Sunday, but I will get it out over the weekend. And then there's some questions like if we don't get to something that you leave here and you're like, I didn't get this answered and the hour's up, go ahead and submit it that way and we'll try to get back to you. If it's for a specific teacher, please let us know. Like I have a math question or an English question. If there's something you want us to know about your child, something unique to them that you think that would help us be better teachers for them, tell us. That's why we have that Google form, and we'll be sure to kind of go through that over the next couple of weeks. All right, so I'm going to go into present.
Hey, just hang on one second, because there's a message in the chat that when they clicked the link, it said it needed permission to view it.
Oh, okay. I probably need to change the settings, and I will do that right now. Thank you for that. I think when I when it got shared with me and I added to it, I must have not changed the settings.
Yeah, it's probably just people with West Hartford.
Probably. Yeah, that's what it is. So let me go ahead and change it. Okay, it should be a question for you. It should be unrestricted right now. So if someone could try clicking on it and just confirm that it's unrestricted and that you can get into it, that would be great.
Is this for the link that was sent out for this?
The link that I just put in chat. The link I put into chat, I will also put in the newsletter if you can't get it from your phone. It's a form that you can fill out about your child. Like if there's something you want us to know or a question that you have, or let's say we didn't get to something, you know what I mean? Or you're not getting the newsletter. So I would fill that out after this meeting, and I will also put the link in the newsletter when I send it out this weekend.
Okay, now I'm having trouble logging into the Google Meet. That's the link I was asking about.
It's a connection problem.
Oh, I don't know how to troubleshoot that.
Okay. You can try closing it out and opening it up again. Sometimes that works. Just the form works now.
Great, thanks.
Can I ask for the newsletter that you include the French class?
Jess, did you hear that?
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
In the newsletter, you have the Chinese class and the Spanish class.
Mm-hmm.
You include French. I think is the French class cross team.
Yes, it is. And you know what? Nancy Barlow doesn't do it every week. Sometimes she does it every other week.
Okay.
When she does it, she posts the Garnet team newsletter on the Garnet team site.
I didn't know what team she was on. So, okay.
So if sometimes like last year when she had it up by the time that I sent mine, I would copy and paste it. But like this week, she didn't have one that she sent out to her parents last Friday. So there was nothing to copy and paste. But I do normally, if it's up, go to it, copy it, and send that out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started now. If you have any questions, please put them in chat. There are 2 people assigned to recording those. As we go through the presentations, we will try to get to them at the end, just because so everybody has a chance to talk and go through their material during this time. All right. So welcome. I still get nervous. This is officially my 20th open house. It is the first time, I think in all of the years doing it, I didn't actually get physically ill before it. Like you think you wouldn't get nervous about talking to the parents anymore. This is just as makes me just as nervous as being in the classroom. And I've done it 20 times. So just some helpful tips for you. Welcome to our open house. If you're new to Google Meet, Mr. St. Germain made this great little presentation slide for us. If you want to change your view so that you can see more people, this works really well if you're on a Chromebook. On the sidebar, you might want to go to Spotlight, and that way, whoever is talking, if you turn on the spotlight, it'll illuminate that person rather than seeing a random person. If you want to access the chat, you can see that the chat feature is up there. It looks like a little text box with lines in it if you want to say something in chat. And if you can, just keep your mic muted, and there will be time for questions at the end. I know some people have dogs. I have a cat who's really annoying, but some people have like dogs and stuff like that, or kids running around. So we'll just all try to keep our mics muted until the very end. All right. So thank you so much for coming tonight. If there's anything that you'd like me to share with the team, we're here to support you. We're here to support your child. When I say that, you know, I feel like a first-year teacher all over again, we really do. And that's for two reasons. One, because we're working in a way that we've never taught before. So we're relearning new platforms and we're relearning new structures and new schedules. But I also feel like a first-year teacher because it feels like it's, you know, with the time that we have the kids in front of us, we're trying so hard to make those connections. We don't have them in there every day. And we want to make sure that they're all just so, like, you know, in a good place when they go home. And sometimes it's hard because we spend a lot of time worrying when they're not in front of us that they're not okay. So that's where we're going to rely on you, because we're all very flexible and we all realize that this is not what we want it to be, and this is definitely not ideal, and it's definitely not normal. So we can't help sometimes because we don't know your kids well enough yet if you don't reach out to us. So I just want to clearly send that message home to you that we really appreciate the emails, the heads up, and all of that information that you are sending us, and that we hope you will continue to send us so that we can be helpful to you. The school day, even when you're at home, is, you know, the 8 to 2:50 time frame. We know that, you know, the kids go home at 12:50 and they might be bringing home a little more homework than they're used to because they do leave earlier. When students are home, most of us are leaving a daily task for students that they might need to view or look at prior to the afternoon class in order for that afternoon class to be the most beneficial in a short amount of time. If a student is going to be absent from the online classes and the afternoon, we still need an email. We still need, you know, to make an excuse for that absent, we still need to hear from the parent. So if any of that, if we need to communicate with us, we really appreciate it so that we can update the attendance from unexcused to excused. Okay, everyone in the room right now has a morning advisory. And it's a little different this year because it meets every day. It is a great time for the kids because we get to take them outside. They stand 6 feet apart. They take off their masks. They have a snack. They kind of wiggle and walk around. It's a good break in the day. On Mondays and Tuesdays well, right now we've been doing icebreakers and stuff on Monday and Tuesday. But once October starts, we're going to do, I'm so excited because I helped work on this, a whole school read aloud. We're going to be reading the story by Tori Maldonado called What Lane? And it pairs very well with the social justice work that are not just my English department, but the entire townwide has embraced in the curriculum that we worked on over the summer. So I'm very excited to read that, to talk to the students about it, and also for hopefully Mr. Maldonado to come back in and Skype with the kids after they've read it. And I know Mr. St. Germain's working on that now. On Wednesday, we have an announcements video that is student made and student led under the help of Mr. St. Germain. And then with extra time, we'll do something fun. And then on Thursday, Friday, we have social justice and SEL lessons. And I know that you're aware of social justice, but the social emotional learning piece, there's a wonderful Nearpod. I'm just going to open this and go to a slide to show you.
My camera and put it around.
Hold on. Sorry, my Chromebook is slow and my internet is not ideal. Okay. So this is actually something that we use with the kids, but this is the slide that I would like to put up for you. Your students, this is, you know, they've been with the SEL program for a few years now, and especially during a time when they need to, you know, keep things in perspective and to recognize what they're feeling and have time to talk about what they're feeling, because with all the changes and the restrictions, it's really hard. It's hard for adults. It's hard for us, and, you know, we're adults and we're supposed to be better at these things. So I think it's a time in the day for them to not just talk about how feeling and showing empathy for others and themselves, to go easy on themselves because this is hard, but also to kind of talk about their relationships with others, making responsible decisions, setting and achieving goals, It's in a very important time that's been carved out of the day for them to do that. And on the days when we don't have social emotional lessons, we will have social justice lessons that have been designed and implemented by a group of people in the town that did an amazing job. We got to experience some of those lessons firsthand, and I'm really looking forward to teaching the social justice lessons this year.
Hey, just quick question that came in. It's about
Sure.
the red and blue groups learning
Okay.
currently.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to just handle that.
Okay, what is it?
Just here, I've read the question, so if you don't mind, I'll just, sorry, it's Sally Nye and I'm the history teacher. So yeah, the plan is basically that the red and blue will be learning concurrently. Now, sometimes that might run in a 2-week kind of program where the kids at home are doing one set of activities and the kids at school are doing a different set, and then the following week they swap. So that kind of depends teacher to teacher and what the subject is. But essentially they will be, within a period of time learning the same material.
Thank you, Sally. So I'm moving into the 8th grade English language arts curriculum right now to talk a little bit about what your students will be doing in class this year. I'm not going to sit there and read this year. I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit from it. Our overarching theme has been the same for a while. We want the students to think about their conscience and their social consciousness. As 8th graders, as they move up to the high school in a year, looking at what their place is in their society, and school is a large part of their society right now. What role do they play in that society? How do their decisions affect themselves? How do their decisions affect others? And there's no better way to do that, in my opinion. I might be biased because I'm an English teacher, but by looking at books. And like, characters give us a safe space to discuss things because we do it through the lens of that character. So I want them to be better at critical reading. I want them to be able to examine literature and informational texts very closely. I want them to use writing in class discussions to, look at and help define like the tension between what the individual needs and the greater good of society. And by 4th quarter, when we're reading the novels like The Chocolate War, they're really looking at the role of the individual in society and fighting the good fight and personal revolution. And when do we make a change and persist? And there's a lot of great topics that come up there. We also encourage self-advocacy, especially now. Emailing teachers is very important. And that student independence on the weeks that they're home to let us know, hey, I need help. Can I pop in at Learning Lab? Or I don't understand this. I know I'm remote learning. What can we do? And having us troubleshoot to make sure that they understand the material and that we know what they're understanding and what we can help with. Our first unit is called The Road Taken, and we read short stories, and we are also reading a novel called Ghost Boys, which is new. We did some reform to the curriculum over the summer for the 1st quarter to include Melissa Dela Cruz and Jason Reynolds and some more contemporary authors that bring in all different backgrounds and ethnicities, social justice discussions, really important stuff for the kids to kind of digest. Then our second unit is Lessons from the Past, Present, and Future. We look at historical fiction and informational text. We also do a unit on global issues in there, when they might read a book about the Khmer Rouge, or they might read a novel that takes place in India, or they might read a novel that deals with something that was going on in North Korea. So Escape from Camp 14 comes to mind. We have each quarter we have multiple title units as well as whole class texts. Quarter 3, Struggles and Successes, Memoir and Narrative. That is, we just want to say that's our Holocaust unit, but that is where they will be reading Night, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Every year I have a Holocaust speaker come in. If you know someone who might be interested in speaking to our kids this year. Last year we had a virtual presentation. It was fabulous because we couldn't have them into the building. And then 4th quarter, we look at Identity and Society. A new text is Raisin in the Sun, and maybe most kids will read The Chocolate War. Differentiation is done for our honor students. Through the books, the text that they read might be more complex or more difficult, even though we're tackling the same skills. The instructional methods might be different, the length of the writing assignments, the performance assessments, the vocab. It all comes from, same skills, but different text. So you up the text complexity or the layers of the writing assignments. Skill set, note-taking skills, author style, annotating text. You can take a minute and read this. I just want to focus on the bottom part where One of my main goals is for your students to become more fluent, more elaborate, and more organized. And a big difference between 7th and 8th grade writing is in 7th grade, they focused a lot about text evidence and picking the right evidence to support something in the text. In 8th grade, we want them to pick the best evidence. It's not just good enough to say, I found 2 pieces of evidence. The critical thinking skills and the close analysis of text comes from good annotation of text. And when you're writing a paper, you need to be able to support it with the best evidence. And 8th graders tend to want to open the page and say, well, I found something, the character, and you have to say, wait a second, is that the best evidence? So that's a big focus of our writing this year when we're doing our claim papers and our thesis papers and stuff like that. Assessment categories, independent exercises, response to it. These seem like all vague, but it's basically like independent exercise, like I did it at home, so it's not fair to count it as an assessment. It's like a homework grade. Response to literatures, when they write about what they're reading, but they don't have to worry about the grammar and mechanics. Speaking with presentations, writing is obviously, grammar and mechanics matter because you had time. And then grammar and vocab is self-explanatory. Ultimately, I want your students to find a book that they love, an author that they love. I want them to find some type of writing that appeals to them this year, whether it's the creative pieces or the response to lit pieces or the journaling. I want them to leave 8th grade being better readers and seeing language arts or English as something that is connected to all subjects and to inspire them that way. So I'm done. I'm going to stop talking and let somebody else take over.
Okay, so I guess that's me.
Yep, I'm going to hit stop present.
Okay.
It says,
You did a
are
great job,
presenting."
Jess.
It won't let me stop. There we go.
All right, thank you very much. You did a great job. So my name, by the way, is Maggie Regan. I am the science teacher on Emerald. And I'm going to take a few minutes to show you a few things, and then I will jump into my curriculum a little bit as well. So let me start to present. And let me know if things aren't showing up. All right, so the first thing we wanted to walk everybody through is Google Classroom, and just to kind of show you around Classroom a little bit and some of the things that you can find. So this is my classroom, so it's obviously all the same classes, it's all science for the most part, except for my advisory. So your students will look a little different because they'll have all of their classes there. But this is sort of the main page. And so when you first bring up Classroom, this is what you will find. If they've been working, let's say, on a class, it might look like this. But if you, again, hit the 3 dashed lines and go back to classes, you then get a view of all of their classes. And it's sort of a quick snapshot. You can see underneath each of my classes, they have things that are due. Something was due today. The next thing is due on Thursday. So sort of a quick snapshot of some of their assignments. On this page, there's also a couple of really kind of nice tools that you can use. The first one I wanted to show you is this to-do button. If you click the to-do button, it gives you a nice list, so I have something assigned to me. And in fact, I think I have something down here too. And so it will give you a quick list of things that are assigned. If you click on the missing part, see, I have no missing work. I've done so good this year so far. But anything missing would show up there. And then I don't think I've actually done anything either, but things that I have done would show up there. So again, I'm going to go back to my classes. The other thing I wanted to show you on here is the calendar. There's another place to get to the calendar too, but the calendar is nice because when teachers put in, so the calendar will come up, and again, assignments will come up and their due dates will come up. And the only thing with this is The teacher has to put in a due date for it to show up on the calendar, and they have to put it into Classroom. There will be some assignments, I know for myself, like today I handed out, we were doing metric conversions, and so I handed out a good old fashioned, piece of paper. And so that did not go onto this calendar, but I am going to show you where it did go in a few minutes, but I just wanted to get through Classroom. All right, so now I'm going to go into one of my classes. I'm just kind of picking a class at random. You'll see that we all have the same, this is called the banner. So up top where it's purple is called the banner. And so the class we teach, the grade we teach, our name is all there. The period is there. And so this happens to be my period B3 class. The year is there. Right underneath the period is the class code. And so then that's how students join this class. And then under that is the Meet link for this class. So when students come to join, all they have to do is click that link and it brings them right to the Meet for that period. And they've been really good at that, though, I will say. I've had, so far, everybody's been joining and everybody's been great. So I think having the Meet link last year, they just had added this feature towards the end of last year. And so we had to keep sort of bumping the Meet link up to the top. And so it wasn't as easy to find. And so this has been a huge thing. So when you open up a class, the first thing you see is what's called the stream. And the stream we're going to mostly use as a place to just sort of put announcements. I like to do fun facts every day and what the National Day is. And so I continue to post those, especially for the students who I don't see. They like them too, so I put them. But also too, any kind of announcement that I need to make. There was some questions about a Nearpod last week. And so I got the question enough times that I just wanted to answer it to everybody in case somebody had the same question and wasn't emailing me or wasn't asking. It had definitely been asked enough times. So that's what we'll use the stream for mostly, some sort of announcement to class. Maybe we're posting something that we want the kids to pay particular attention to. Maybe again, like I said, like a question kind of kept coming up, and I just want to address it for everybody. That's what the stream will mostly be used for. The tab next to the stream is classwork. This tab is where we'll post all of the work for the online. And so this is how I've set it up and how most of the teachers will set it up. So again, on the top of mine, I just have resources that I will add to through the year. Right now, I have my grading policy there, and I have the lab safety contract there because we're doing lab safety. And then I have this week here, and then I had last week. And so we will keep putting the weeks on it. And so the most recent week will be the week on top. And so then the assignments are there. We can assign, certain students certain tasks. And so hopefully, like whatever your student is being assigned that week will only show up on their classroom. And so that will hopefully cut down so nobody gets confused on what they need to do. I wanted to show you on the classwork tab too, that again, the Google Calendar is also here. And so again, you can click that. And then this calendar comes up. And so it's a little bit different than the other one. This is my Google Calendar. And so if your student has their own Google Calendar, it is linked here. And then that's how they would get that. All right. So I think that's it for Classroom. Did I miss any questions or anything? Okay. All right. So now the next thing I wanted to show you is, yes, the homework calendar. So sometimes if we're not posting something in Classroom itself, then it won't show up on that calendar for them. So we are still using the Emerald Team homework calendar. So this is how you get to that. If you go to the King Philip Middle School webpage, and go to menu, you need to click menu. You'll see 6th grade teams, 7th grade teams, 8th grade teams. So you can click that. You then find the Emerald team. I'm going to click there. There we all are. Oh, look at us all. Now, this can sometimes be a little tricky. I've had people sort of lose their place on here because people want to just sort of scroll down, but you don't actually have to. Right here is the Emerald Team website and homework calendar. So if you click that, it now brings you to the Emerald Team website, and then you just simply want to scroll down and it will bring you to the homework calendar. And like I said before, I've been posting the assignments that are on Classroom, just, like, so they have it in another place, along with any assignments that may not be on Classroom because it's a worksheet. It's what I've handed out to them. And then that's how you get to the Emerald team.
Ms. Regan, can you just point out the math in the upper right-hand corner? Because I'm going to refer to that after. Up next to the Emerald team at the top.
Oh, go all the way up to the top?
Yeah. No. We're on your screen where it says Emerald Team Math at the top, near the search button on the...
Oh, here. I'm sorry.
Am I looking at... Right there, yeah. I'll talk about that after, just so people know where it is.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know where it was either. I learned something today, too. All right, nice. Thank you, Monique. All right, is that... Any questions with any of that? We're doing good so far? Okay, so I just wanted to briefly talk about science quickly as well while I have your attention. So welcome to 8th grade science. It was interesting, Jess, when I heard you talking about sort of like the language arts mission, is it really sort of rang to me a little bit because it sounded similar to the science department mission, that the secondary science program, so 6 through 12, the mission is to really educate all students to be scientifically literate and responsible citizens, truly believing that having a good solid base knowledge, base knowledge of science really does is important to being sort of, a whole person, a whole citizen. And so I kind of thought that was interesting. We don't really get to usually do these with each other, and so we don't get to hear what the other one is saying. So I kind of thought that was interesting. All right, so we do use what's called the Next Generation Science Standards, the NGSS. We adopted these a few years ago, so we got away from the Connecticut state standards and now use the Next Generation Science Standards. So the assessment is slightly different. It's the NGSS assessment and no longer the GMT. Where the NGSS kind of has changed from just sort of the state standards is they really focus on like a 3D learning model. And so it includes the disciplinary core ideas, which is really just the content of the class, along with cross-cutting concepts. And so those are your really sort of broad ideas that should be able to be applied to almost any concept that we teach. So things like patterns or cause and effect, structure and function, stability and change, energy and matter. And then we also add in there science and engineering practices. And so for a really long time, we really focused on just sort of science practices, the scientific method. But now we're adding more and more engineering models, the engineering process, which they're both very similar. They're both very cyclic processes where in the scientific method, you make an observation, makes you think of a question, so you form a hypothesis, you design an experiment, you test that and gather data, and then you analyze that data, and then you make adjustments to your hypothesis, and then create a new experiment and sort of go around in that until you sort of develop your theories. In the engineering process, again, you identify some sort of problem. You gather information about it, you try to think of possible solutions, you build something, you create something in the engineering process, which you then evaluate or test. And after testing it, you will refine it. And then you test it again, and you refine it, and you test it again, and then eventually communicate your findings out. So as a science department, we really are dedicated to bringing both of these to the science classroom throughout the entire year. I know that this year, science is going to look a little different than it has, but I still want to bring these things to your students. I still have plans to do labs. There are certain labs that I can individualize where a student can work on their own. We do an airplane lab towards the beginning of the year, and so that's one we could definitely still do. Everybody builds their own airplane. We have some labs, where I'm thinking into the future, where I can assign students certain jobs of the lab. So they're working together to gather data, but they're not really sharing materials. And then we also have a great resource of virtual labs where they'll still use the scientific method, but just sort of use, a virtual way of doing it. And then the engineering process, we can definitely still do where they will build models, they will, build things that they can test certain scientific ideas out on. And the important thing with the engineering is then redesigning it and retesting it and seeing how changing it affected that. So what does science class look like? So I took this question very literally, and I took pictures of my classroom so you guys could still see it. And so that was my classroom as of today. But in general, what does science class look like? Students come in. I will have the agenda written on the board, the objective written on the board, the homework written on the board. They have a fun fact and the National Day written on the board, so they're ready for that. I start every class with a warm-up or a do now. If there was homework, we'll go over the homework, and then we start class and really trying to, yes, there are notes, and yes, we have to do that part of it, but then always embed activities and things that they can do as well to help with that. Very quickly, some of the topics we'll talk about this year: mass measurement and motion, forces and Newton's laws, types of energy, energy transfer and transformation, structures and property of matter, chemical reactions, wave properties, and electromagnetic radiation. And then I just put this on here really quickly. If any of your student ever needs extra help, I am available almost every day before school. I just say by appointment because I just need to know that they're coming, so I know to be in my room and not up like at the photocopy machine. Obviously during learning lab, also after school, again, just by appointment, so I know just to be in my room. There really is no day I can't stay. I just need to know. And then obviously in this day and age, we now have the Google Meet. And that is it. All right, good. All right, is somebody else, am I done?
I'll go. Is it Wojo? I can go. Hi, Miss Wojo. Oh, Heaven wants to go? Okay.
It's actually Monique.
Okay. See you soon.
I think Miss Heveron's on mute.
There we go. All right. Are we good now? All right.
I can hear you.
So let's try this again. Welcome. I'm Monique Heveron, the math teacher, algebra teacher, and math 8 for the Emerald team. And I just want to, in my little picture here, all of you should see the math 8 students all have a ready book that they should be bringing back and forth to class. And the algebra students all have a text that they should leave at home. It's quite heavy, so they don't need to be lugging it at this time. All right. So I'm calling this the year of compassion, flexibility, and patience. But before I even start that, I just want to thank everyone because the students have been great about masks and keeping distance, and they've just been awesome. So thank you for sending them to us that way, and I've already told them how pleased I am with them. But it's a year of compassion, flexibility, and patience, because everything, our world as we knew it, is kind of jumbled right now. And, so we're just trying to meet every student where they are, and help them in the learning process, and just be patient, because we need to get back in the swing of things, and things look a little different. Just so my typical day starts with a mathetizer, where we actually did this with the students on the first day to unscramble the word, okay? And I'm just going to go quickly through it. I know some of you are trying to do it, but the big word is perseverance, which is so important in math, and to be able to stick with something until you are successful. Okay? Kind of like be like a postage stamp and stick to it until you get there. I like to teach with humor. So I might put something like this up, and it's a punishment, but they do say that Ms. Regan science jokes are much worse. Okay? And today in algebra, I started out with what concept is this, because we were talking about polynomials. So I try and give them things that they can remember to help them learn the material. West Hartford overall in the math department looks for and hope to and strive for rigor, reasoning, and relevance. Mathematical discourse is a big one. Usually my room is in tables, so kids can have a lot of group discussions and work together with problem solving. I kind of have to work around that and get very creative, since we are further apart, more of a big group discussion. And we also work on problem solving and self-confidence. For math, For Math 8, our units of study, we have, there's 7 of them. We just started with congruent and similar relationships, where we talk about transformations, and then we look at the types, reflections, rotations, translations, and then we look at what characteristics remain the same, what changes, what is corresponding, and we do that. Algebra, we just started manipulating our world. We changed the order a little bit if you have older sons and daughters. So we started out with manipulating world, where we're learning all about expression, solving equations, solving inequalities, and it's really all the tools to get into our other units. Unit 2 will look at all different functions. We'll look at linear, quadratic, exponential. Then we stop and do a little bit of data, and then we go back into graphing and looking at all these equations and doing transformations on them. So the first half of the year is really all about equations, solving equations, what different functions look like by looking at their equations. And then the second half of the year is really looking at what they look like on a graph and if we transform them. And then in May, we get to quadratic equations, and we do that really intensely. And then at the end of the year, we stop with systems of equations. At this point, we're still planning, I believe, on a midterm and a final, but like I said, everything's subject to change. Students who pass will get an elective credit for honors algebra, the grade on the transcript as a pass-fail, and the current department states that students with an assessment average below 80 will be recommended to retake algebra. But again, it's parents' choice, and we want students to strive high. One of the tools we have is IXL Math, and it's an online program used as a resource for individual practice of skills taught in class. Like today, we practiced, the algebras practiced adding polynomials, naming polynomials, and the Math 8 students for homework were identifying different transformations. And they all were asked to write their passwords in a Google slide, so they have that in their Google Classroom. Okay? And we welcome mistakes. We expect them, we respect them, we inspect them, and we correct them. And we talk about, oh, who made this type of mistake? How many answered like this? Okay, what do you think you may have done? Did somebody else get a different answer? So it really opens a nice discussion, and we want them to own their mistakes. And especially if they make a certain mistake, each time that they own it, they know to look for it. They know how to look for spots that they may have made a mistake in, just to make them strong mathematicians. And I want them to understand how we do things, but more importantly, why we do things. And one of my feelings is when you steal a student's struggle, you steal the learning. When you support the struggle, you take that student farther than ever. And math, 8th grade math is tough, algebra is tough, but by the end of the year, they'll feel really, really good about themselves. And I'll be there to support them. They may not always like me, but I will be there to support them. All right? Because I want them to work hard, be kind, and use their resources. Math 8 will be taking notes right in their book. Algebra will be taking in a spiral notebook. Okay, there are videos, and now we're going to go to that 8th grade math website. Whoops, I'm already there. Hold on. Okay, so when Ms. Regan showed you the calendar and math was in the upper right-hand corner, okay, when you go there, you'll notice that it says KP 8th grade math, and it gives us ways to be successful in 8th grade math, okay, and it has some websites on it. But I want to point out for algebra, there are daily do-nows, problems they can do, final exam materials, midterm, and we have to go in and rename the units, but all the, from the units, it has stuff in there. And the same for Math 8. Okay. We also have resources to the online textbook. Unfortunately, when I went in to check its use, it's going to expire in December, but we're working on how to get an online text for them. But up until December, there are, as you can see, there's PowerPoint presentations, there's practice assessments if they want to do it, and they can also get to the online textbook. Like if they're in school in Learning Lab, because their book is home, that they can access that. And they can always, they should always ask their teacher for help. All right. Which brings me to support, help, assistance. Before school, I'm there at 6:30 every morning, so they don't have to come in that early. 7:15. In fact, I have an appointment with someone tomorrow morning during Learning Lab. And we can always create a virtual meet. They just have to email me or speak to me, and we can definitely schedule a time. And I have to be honest, while my colleagues were talking, I was answering questions on my phone that students had emailed me. So, and that is it. I do want to say one more thing. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Hold on. Okay. I do want to mention that the math department's goal, our goal, is to try and keep students learning the same concept on the same day. So we put out every Sunday night, early Monday morning, and every Thursday, early Thursday, a chart that has the lessons for each day. Well, one, because there's 2 lessons a week. And in that, we specify the group that's home. So Blue's home this week. So we have videos that are the exact same thing that we are teaching in class. And they have assignments to do. And I ask them to watch the videos, try some of the assignments before the virtual class so that I can jump in and help them either answer any questions on their homework or any concepts. And then the students in class, they're getting the lesson live from me. I can answer their questions. We practice some problems. I get them started on their homework so I can answer any questions. So that's where the math is. I think it differs by subject on how they're doing red and blue. So, but for math, we're trying to do everything on the same day. And then the Wednesdays that are alternating, we're working on individual skills or certain things that they don't have to be aligned for. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have your sons and daughters.
All right, so I Miss Wojo.
Oh,
sorry.
That's okay.
Wojo, your end of alphabet, Wojo.
Yeah. So, good evening. This is Eva Lebo, and I am a resource teacher in 8th grade on the Emerald team. I'm really happy to be on the Emerald team this year. It's my first year on the Emerald team, and it's just a great vibe. You're very lucky to have these teachers. They just provide a sense of calm and structure for your child, and we work on whatever it is until it gets resolved and until the child feels better, comfortable, understands the material. So this is a great team of teachers. I have been working at King Philip for 10 years. Last year I was on the Amethyst team. I do, regardless what team I am, I do support all the 8th grade teams, but my focus, a lot of the students I work with are on the Emerald team. And I like to, I kind of pride myself in the fact that I am here to support any student, and answer any questions, and I communicate with the teachers. I'm on your child's Google Classroom for all the subjects. We communicate whether it's, they're struggling with content or didn't do so well on a test. I mean, we're great communicators, and we will just, constantly work together to support your child. I teach a comprehensive literacy program. It's called Language Live, and I'd like to present. Let's see. Okay. So this program that I teach, Language Live, and it really encompasses all of the areas of literacy, stemming from vocabulary, grammar, sentence structure, reading comprehension, writing skills, or written organization, and it does align with the Common Core state standards. So it's a great program to improve those reading and writing skills for those that need the supports. And I've been teaching it since I've been at KP, so about 8 or 9 years. So I'm really proud of the program and the progress it's made. So I'll stop presenting. Let's see. Just trying to maneuver. Okay, and also in addition to that, I also teach a support language arts class. So I support Ms. Carolasia with the curriculum. I am familiar with the curriculum, and we communicate constantly on what's going on in the classroom, what the teachers are teaching. So I do have a support class in that sense. Also, I teach a study skills class. So that is, I think, really helpful because, we all, especially, as the students are getting older, they're really learning what works for them, what tools work for them, what doesn't work, and those strategies that really, I tell the students, we use for life. I know what my areas are that, I need support in, and you kind of compensate and develop those strategies. So I wanted to show you just what we learn in the study skills class. Okay. So this is an example of what we review in the areas. So the executive functioning skills, and it's really interesting because, all of us, even, I didn't realize at first how much it takes really to when you get something done, when you complete a task, when you plan something, it really takes planning, organization, task initiation. Will you start the task and then stick with it, or do you stop for a while and not finish it? So we're all better at some of these than others, and that's what we try to figure out with the students. Where are our strengths and which areas of these do we need support in? Metacognition, time management, we need the self-control, the working memory. So that's more of like the short-term memory. Can I learn, something in math and then apply it to do an example? And our flexibility, how flexible are we? In the sense of, where we might learn best, or how perseverance and attention. So you could have all of the self-control in the world, but if your time management is a little off, then we need to work on that. So these all kind of meld together, and it's really interesting how, we all use these strategies. This is what I work on with the students. And let's see, I'll stop presenting. Okay. So, it's just, I've already met many of your students, and I'm really impressed on how prepared they were for school, they came with schedules, even if they were written all over. It was like they really tried, and then we kind of tweaked it and made them really secure. And they really are fast learners. I just teaching them even about the schedule, they quickly adapted. So I think they're like a nice mellow group, and they're pretty flexible themselves. So we're just kind of doing our best, and your students are doing their best. I guess I just wanted to add that one thing the teachers mentioned is reaching out to teachers to set up Google Meets. If your child can't reach out and you're at the email, you can email us. But I think moving toward high school and having, again, the tools in our toolbox for life's strategies is for your child to start emailing us more on their own. I've already seen, I had a student today, I had a support class, and during that class, he emailed another teacher because we were working on something. So I really love to see that advocacy. So, we're really going to see your students just grow this year and advocate for themselves, reach out, and they can send the email, especially if they're having trouble on something. And I've seen across the different subjects, they can email us in the evening. It's better to do that if you're stuck on something or, have questions, than to come in, obviously, and not have the work done. If we know you tried and you emailed us, then that goes a long way with the students themselves reaching out to the teachers. And thank you. Ms. Nayan?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Sally Nayan. I am the history teacher on the Emerald team. It's my 21st year at KP. I recognize some of the names we've had, brothers and sisters. So shout out to all the kids I had before. I'd like to talk to people. So I'm only going to show you 2 slides briefly. As I said, I'm the history teacher. I'm a total history geek. So my biggest history academic goal for your kids is to get them to realize that history isn't boring. I mean, to me, history is nothing more than the story of people. And most people that I know like to talk about other people and what they're doing and why they're doing it. So I try to put history in that context. Yes, I do cover the main topics, and I am going to present very briefly a slide that is going to have our essential questions for 8th grade. So hopefully this will come up. Let's see if this is coming up. Somebody shout out at me if it's not up. It's coming. All right, so these are our essential questions. So I do cover, we start with just before the American Revolution to through the end of the Civil War. So I'll cover those main topics, but really what I like to talk about with kids
Sally,
is,
we can't see it.
well, let's escape it then. All right. You know what? I'll put it in the chat later, so I'm not taking up time. What I like to do to cover with kids is why things are happening. Right? So we're looking at really the motivation behind things. You know, why do people do things, and why do those things become history? So I will be asking your kids constantly, why, yes, but why, yes, but why. So if you find at night your kids are starting to say to you, yes, but why? Well, it's my fault, and you can email me and you can blame me. Right? And I will take full responsibility for that. So another thing that I want to mention this year is we are rewriting some of the curriculum to bring in more social justice issues. So one of the very first things we will be starting on is our Witness Stones unit. And you may be aware of that. It's something we've done the last 2 years, which is actual curriculum within West Hartford, enslaved people and their experiences within West Hartford. In the past couple of years, we've actually been able to place stones bearing the names of people who were enslaved in the old cemetery, on the old North Main Street Cemetery. Last year, there was a small select group where the stones were actually placed. We'll have to see what happens in the spring to see whether we can place the stones this year. But that is a great opportunity for the kids to do actual real life historian type of work. So we have three actually retired West Hartford teachers. They'll be coming in and working with your kids, looking at primary source documents that we got from either the West Hartford Historical Society or from the Connecticut Historical Society. And we'll start that maybe second, third week of October. So it's the first really big unit that we're doing. I cannot ignore that it is an election year, right? And I teach social studies. So we will be discussing the election. In fact, with the kids tomorrow, I'll be doing a lesson about how do you tell fake news from real news. My goal with discussing the election is going to be agreeing to disagree and doing it politely with respect. So that will be the focus as far as that's concerned, because of course, as we're very aware, kids are not getting good role models in different viewpoints and how they're being expressed. So that will be really the big focus is, you know, we all have opinions, we all have the right to express our opinions, but we need to be respectful of the people that are around us. So that's pretty much, in terms of the academics, really all I want to talk about. You know, again, we go from pre-revolution up through the Civil War. Right? And so what I really want to mention to you is, and I very much believe this about history too, my real goal is to try to build some sort of relationship with your kids. And I will say to you that goes for every single teacher on this team. And as I've looked at the chat, I totally understand your nervousness and your fears. Right? We're experiencing, you know, similar things. We haven't done it this way before. And so we are trying, you know, we're trying to learn best practice as we go. Right? And so it's really important to each and every one of us that we get to know your kids, that we make sure your kids feel safe at school, that we try to give them a good experience in school, that when they go home, they're like, oh yeah, school was okay today. Because for a teenager, school was okay today is a really big thing. Like, so that is a mark of success for us as far as I'm concerned. Right? So one of the things I always tell our kids on the Emerald team is, you know, when they leave at the end of the year, I say to them, you're an Emerald forever. Right? And I truly mean that, because when kids come back and they email me, as I had a bunch of kids email me this summer, or they come back and they visit, not right now, of course, but eventually. I know Ms. Carol Asia and I, we were on a Google Meet a couple of weeks ago with 2 kids who are freshmen in college this year. Right? And there's nothing that makes us happier than when kids come back. So we are the Emerald team. We are family. You know, and like all families, we have our disagreements sometimes. Sometimes we struggle to get along with each other, but we all want the same thing. And that is for your kids to succeed and for them to have a good day in school. And, you know, from my point of view, hopefully they learn something about history. You know, that is a bonus as far as I'm concerned, especially this year because it's stressful. Everybody's stressed. So I really hope, my big goal is to get your kids to enjoy learning, even if they won't admit it at the time, or maybe it takes them a little while to admit it. And I would say to you, I would love it if you encourage your kids to talk about what they're learning about in history. You know, have that dinner table conversation. What'd you do in history this year? Oh, what'd you talk about with the election? Did you talk about this current event? I've told all the kids that, especially with this 60-minute format, especially when they're in front of me, you know, if you want to talk about current events, if you're confused about something, if you don't understand something, if you need to vent about something, this is the place to do it. Right? And we will have safe conversations around that. So please talk to your kids, ask them what's going on. Please, I put it in the chat, please let us know if your child is struggling. We can help. We will do our best to help. We will meet. We will set up Google Meets for kids who are online. We'll meet with kids who are there. I think those of you who have worked with us before, you know we're pretty accommodating. Those of you who were meeting for the first time, we're really pretty accommodating. Right? And that in the end is much more important than anything I can tell you about history class. So I will zip it because I have a tendency to go on, and I will pass it over to, who's to?
It's me. I'm just
Okay,
going to
so-
say it's better be me. Third time's a charm. You know, I really, after listening to Miss Nye in there, I think that I'm just going to introduce myself, because what more can I say? I am, for those of you that don't know me, Senora Wojo. I am a Spanish teacher. I also am representing Madame Barlow, or Senora Barlow. She teaches some of our students that go off team on Garnet. We teach the same things. We will cover the same things, maybe not necessarily at the same time. There is a new kind of a rubric, not rubric, format for grading. And I hope that you can open that, because I just put that in the chat. And that's it. I'm loving this year so far, and communication is key. If you need anything, we're here. So I think, Waymay, if you want to go next, right? Let me know if that doesn't open in the chat. That's the world language. And I have some slides, but I think it's a little repetitive at this point. But looking forward to a great year. And if you need anything, we're here. I think, Waymay, you're up.
All right. My name is Waymay Yao. I'm so excited to be in Emerald team. This is my first year in Emerald team. I'm new to Emerald, but I'd love to be in this team. And this is my second year teaching at KP. I want to say it's my truly pleasure to have your child in my class. Yeah, I don't know how many of your child in my class. Yeah, like Miss Wojo said, yeah, we're pretty same, you know, like a format and requirement for world language through the district. So we have a same middle school grading guidelines. I add a little bit of requirements towards to it according to my class. All of the information, class expectation. I have slide, but I don't want to present it right now. But all this information you can find in Google Classroom. The homework, same like other teachers. I put, you know, the under the topic week off, like this week, September 14 to September 18, all underneath of this week's homework. Right now, I'm planning to give homework on Monday and collect on Friday. Anything else I can make up? I think that's it. Every information you can find on Google Classroom. And yeah, if you have a question, please let me know. Like your child need help, yeah, just email me or call me. Okay. Thanks for coming. I truly appreciate it. All right.
Did we get to everybody? I think we did. Thank you again so much. Remember that there's the form for you to fill out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us via email. Really, we're here to support you. We know, like Sally said, this is super stressful. Sally and I have worked together for a very long time now. She's like my big sister, so she kind of took over to intervene for all the things I wanted to say. We just want to be here for the kids. We're all super flexible, and a lot of the anxiety that we're sensing, a lot of us are parents or we're dealing with the same thing at home. So there's nothing I want more than to have your child have a good 8th grade year. Above everything, I want them to leave and want to come back to visit us. That's what I want. So please reach out to us. Please tell us what you need. And otherwise, we're going to have a great year. I know. Like I said, this could just be their best year yet. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Emerald teachers. Great job.
Thanks.
Thank you, parents, caregivers, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Jess, where can they find the recording?
The recording will go out in the newsletter.
Okay.
It's going to take Dave a little while. We have to get it back and then format it so it's small enough for me to send out because it's a pretty big file. So that told him it would take a couple days.
Hi, Miss Carolage and Miss Nine. It's Rowan.
Rowan!
Hello,
Hi. How are you?
How are you?
How's school?
It's good. I'm taking AP Bio this year, so it's kind of difficult, but it's good.
I'm very happy. He's smiling away.
That's my favorite class. AP Bio, favorite class.
I'm so proud of you.
I think
this
she's
year, so
talking,
I've
but
been using the one you gave us.
we missed the beginning of that, Ron.
Yeah, what was it?
Oh, sorry. I have been using. Oh, sorry. Someone called my mom. I've been using this Regan's periodic table, like literally on every single homework assignment because my teacher didn't give us one. So it has all my notes on it, and it's so helpful.
Nice. That is awesome. That makes me so happy.
You just made Miss Regan's night.
You really did. And I have to say, Rowan, it was a tricky day, and so that really just made my night.
It's been a tricky month, Rowan. I'm not gonna lie. This is hard.
Yeah, make sure you email us and let us know how things are going, okay, kiddo?
Okay, I will. And
Yay!
I don't know if I'm allowed to come visit because of like the whole COVID.
Yeah, I don't think we can yet.
No, but we can Google Meet you.
Yeah.
Yep. And then once everything opens back up again, then all you got to do is email us to make sure we're around, and we'd love
Yeah, then I'll
to
come
see you.
visit.
Yeah,
I'd love to
absolutely.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, hon.
Bye,
Bye,
Rowan.
Rowan.
Bye, Rowan.
I hope you don't have too much homework.
Let me know if you have AP Bio questions. I'll totally help you with AP Bio, Rowan. Let me know.
Good night, Lisa. Bye.
Bye.
It's so cute. I love it when they come back. I'm telling you, when I saw Joe Dooley the other day, he's so grown up.
I can't even imagine.
Oh my, he's like over 6 feet tall.
Oh, that's crazy. Sometimes I don't recognize them.
You would probably recognize him. And I like.
Yeah, Joe was pretty, yeah.
I drive down his street, so I figured it was probably him. And he had a big backpack with 2 baseball bats sticking out of it. So
that's Joe. Owen raised their hand. Owen's using Nod.
Woo! Yeah.
Yay! Hi, Owen.
Hi,
So
Owen.
I have been telling all the Emerald students about Nod, and I've been having them put that on their Google Meets.
Yeah, I mentioned it the other day.
Jessica, yay!
Other
Was
Jessica.
that you? Did you use Nod, Jess?
I did.
I love Nod. Yay! Look, I'm gonna clap my hands. Yay!
Yeah, some of the kids nodded for me in class the other day. Like,
It makes it so much easier. It's such a good tool.
You can't use Nod from your desktop.
Why not?
Because I don't have the extension. I only have it on the Chromebook. So in the afternoon when I'm at school,
So put it on your desktop. I put it on my desktop.
You can put it on your desktop?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wouldn't let me. You can come help me.
All right. I think I did.
Look at her. All right. All right.
I'll add it to the list.
For those of you who are still here, this is what we're like. We're like one weird family. I'd say Golden Girls, but that would upset all my younger colleagues.
Listen, I love that show.
What show?
Golden Girls.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I love the Golden Girls.
I thought you were going to start to pretend that you were too young to even know what that was.
I'm not too young to know what that was. I watch the Golden Girls all the time. And my meeting's just ending, honey.
Mr. Millman is still on. Is Zach there?
I'm going to stop the recording. Can I do that?
Yeah, I think you could stop the recording because we're not.
How?
Can't you just?
Good night, guys.
Stop recording? I think
Yeah.
there's a
Time to
button that
go.
says stop recording.
All right,
Time to
I
go
got
do